I was putting that negative energy. I'm not going to have enough time. Or how am I going to have time to do this? How am I going to have time to fill all these orders? And when you put that in there, it's going to push those orders away. It's going to push those people away because you're putting out there, you don't have enough time.
Welcome to Building for Bliss, a show for the sensitive and creative entrepreneur who wants to build their business with success, joy, and ease. I'm your host, Nicolina Werther. So welcome to today's episode with my first guest, Polly Singer, and I'm so excited. Polly is a milliner and hat maker and makes beautiful handmade hats. But she also has something else in her range now, which I'm very curious about, because that's also going to tell us like how we met and how, well, she got maybe inspired by me to for a new product, and I got inspired by you to actually start the podcast. So welcome. Let us know anything you want to let us know about you and your business. Sorry, I've completely forgot to say that. You've been named America's best hat maker. I should add that as well. Best couture hat maker. And you've been featured like in Wall Street Journal and USA Today and Forbes and, Tea Time magazine, everywhere. So it's really, a great pleasure. And you've also been in business for almost 3 decades now. Mm-hmm. So welcome.
Thank you.
Yes. So let's start with the start. How did you start with, what got you into hats?
Okay. Well, I was living in New York City at the time. It was 1993. I was working in the music business. Where I was working, it was very glamorous. I worked for the chairman of EMI Records Group, but I missed working with my hands. I had grown up making things. My grandmother taught me how to sew. I did, sewing competitions growing up. So I really missed that creative aspect of working with my hands. And then one day I was getting ready for work. I was actually running the office that day as my boss was out of town. And I was styling my hair, as we all do, getting ready. And I got a hairbrush stuck in my hair. So I was freaking out because it was a long brush, about 6 inches long, and there was no way to get it out. So I grabbed the nearest thing I had, which was a purple velvet hat. So it was July in New York City, probably about 90 degrees. And the only thing I had to cover that long 6-inch hairbrush was a purple velvet hat. So I threw it on, wore it to work, and people just raved over it. And it really showed me that hats are very sculptural and they really get attention, obviously. And they really complete an outfit. They're very much works of art. They complete an outfit. And at the time, a very good friend of mine, Suzanne, was going to the Fashion Institute of Technology, known as FIT, to take classes. And she really encouraged me to do that. And, when I went for my first class, which was cut and sew hats, I was just like, wow, I really like this. This is something that I can do, that I'm working with my hands, working with beautiful fabrics. And it just grew from there. So that was kind of my start.
So was it always couture hats, or did you start more with like normal hats and then you eventually?
Well, that's a very good question. Actually, I started with cut and sew hats. So I started with children's hats. I had children's hats. I had a very good friend whose mother had a children's store in Bronxville, New York. So I started with children's hats and christening hats. And then, I liked doing those. The frustration was that children's heads grow so big, that their heads grow so quickly. So they were quickly growing out of what I made. So I stopped the children's hats, and I went more for casual hats, kind of street hats that you would wear, in New York City, just kind of, day to day. And then it wasn't until I came back to Kentucky and I started doing the more couture for the Kentucky Derby and the races. So it kind of evolved from there.
It's amazing, because that's, of course, the bit I know from you, because we met, I think, almost a year and a half ago, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, during a personal development and professional development course.
Mhm.
And I met you as a hat maker, yes. But I guess that's what you've been doing then for almost the 3 decades. It's mostly
Mhm.
doing handmade hats, which I think is amazing, an amazing,
Oh,
specialty.
thank
But you're
you.
also doing something else now, isn't it? Like what happened
Mhm.
to? So do you want to tell us about that as well?
Sure, sure. Well, we met, I guess, was it 20? Yeah, 2020. And, during the shutdown, I was a frustrated hat maker because there were no events to go to or make hats for. So I got into baking and I started baking scones. I do a vegan scone. And then I started posting pictures of my scones and I had requests for scones. And then I saw your mindfulness post, your mindfulness tea post on Instagram. And that just really struck a chord with me because, I love tea, but I usually drink it as I'm working, as I'm working on the laptop, as I'm sewing in the morning. I never stopped and just had tea and let everything go and really connected with the tea. I tend to be kind of a type A person, with businesses. So I'm going, going, going. So that whole aspect of just stopping with tea and really being in the moment and focusing on the taste, the texture, the heat, the warmth, the feel of the cup in my hand. It was just a very sensual experience and very grounding too. I found it very grounding. So I loved that. And I started thinking, well, how can I incorporate tea? And then I came up with the idea to do Tea with Polly, which was an online Zoom class, which you were on. We did a mindfulness tea together that everyone just loved. They had never had that experience. So the tea thing just kept popping up for me. And it was actually last September, I was out on a walk and I thought, I wonder about having my own brand of tea or my own tea line because the tea thing just brings me so much joy. I had done a live tea event earlier that year that had been a sellout. So I thought, wonder about having my own tea. So did some research, found a company that I could work with that is local. So that was really nice. The quality of the tea is wonderful. So I broached it in my Thrive group, my online group. I said, what do you all think about this? Do you think I should do a tea line? And they were like, yes, I think that's so natural for you. So it helped having that confirmation, because sometimes, you'll have an idea and think, okay, is this a really crazy idea? Have I lost my mind? But I thought, no, I love tea and tea brings people together. It's nurturing, it's healthy. It's just a beautiful beverage, the smell of tea. So I started planning my tea line and designing my tea label. And it took about 6 months for the project to be born. And I'm a little impatient. I thought I could get it out in 3 months for Christmas, but it just took longer. But it's been a neat journey. And the hardest thing I will tell you was deciding on 4 teas to launch with. Because it's like I have my teas that I like. I'm a black tea person. I'm an Earl Grey, Assam. I'm a black tea person. I could drink black tea all day long. So I did a poll on through my Facebook group and also my email list. What teas do you all like? What type of tea do you like during the day? And it was surprising, what people said. There were a lot of people that liked green tea, herbal, ginger was a favorite too. So I started off with an Earl Grey, a Paris afternoon, rose cherry green cloche, and then a blue butterfly pea flower. That's what I started with. And the herbals and the greens have outsold the black teas thus far.
Wow, it's so
So
interesting.
it was really interesting. And it was funny. The one tea, the blue butterfly tea, it's a purple tea when brewed. And the blue, it's hard to say, the blue butterfly tea has a lot of good antioxidants. It's collagen promoting. It has the fennel, star anise in it, hyssop, jasmine, elderberry, currant. It's got a lot of really nice herbs in it. I kind of wasn't sure about that tea. I thought, well, let's just try it. I just put it out there and see what happens. And that's been the favorite thus far. And I think because it's something you can drink all day long, it's a nice after dinner tea because it's got the fennel in it. It's purple, which, it's just different, it just looks so pretty in the cup. So that's been a big favorite with people.
That's really interesting. And it kind of reminds me if there's a lesson there in terms of when do you trust your own instincts, intuition or something, or when do you look for example, feedback from your customers? I don't know if there was something in there for you where you went from, shall I test this or shall I just go with what I think? Well, did you had any learnings around that?
I did. I actually, I do the pendulum, which is kind of basically your intuition. So I did muscle testing and my pendulum on it. And every time I tested the blue tea, the purple tea, the blue butterfly tea, I just got such a resounding yes. So I thought, just go for it. But what's interesting, I find too, with it's kind of that leap, so it was like, ooh, if I test this, if I do this and it doesn't go well, ooh, am I stuck with it? And for me, it's nice. My minimums are small. It's very small batch. So I thought, well, if people don't like it, I like it. I can just drink it all up. But it was kind of thinking, okay, what do people want? What are they looking for? What is going to resonate with them? But also trusting my intuition on it. So I thought, well, okay, I'm getting to go with that. So I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to see what happens.
Well, that's, I guess, different then, because when you create your hats, they're bespoke. I mean, you have both. You have bespoke and you have bring out lines as well, isn't it?
Yes.
So is it a similar process, or how is it different than what you did with the tea?
Well, the nice thing with tea is it's pretty much, the bespoke on the hats is a little more complicated because it's different colors, matching an outfit. It's very, working with the client, emails back and forth, texts back and forth. Whereas the tea is, I wouldn't say cut and dry, but it is kind of, like once I decide on it, it's done. And I tend to be, in the past, I've been an indecisive person. So having that where it's just like, okay, it's this flavor, move on, has been nice. There's kind of a peace with it for me, instead of when I do the bespoke, which the going back and forth is, it's a process. It's more of a process. And my ready to wear line, is probably a lot like the teas. It's there, it's out there. When people buy it, they buy it as is. So I kind of like that,
Yeah, and I'm wondering, because I mean, I've seen like the whole idea of making decisions and trusting yourself is huge, I find, and in all areas of life, but definitely also in business, because like you said, if you don't have that ability, you just can't make decisions and you just get stuck around all sorts of things. Is there anything in particular that you feel like changed that for you? Or like when you said you used to be indecisive, was it more just, over the years, you just, was there anything in particular, or is it just a gradual evolving?
It was actually interesting. A lot of the, my thing with being indecisive, I realized, was being perfectionist. And I'm such a perfectionist on my hats. I mean, I have been known to open up a shipping box to recheck it, to make sure it's right. And nobody else would probably do that, but I'm such a perfectionist. And I was kind of raised that way, by my parents. So I've always been poly-perfectionist. And I really have done a lot of work on that through the classes I've taken. And I've realized nothing is perfect. And the stress I was putting myself through, trying to have everything so perfect, was really wearing me out. It was really wearing me down. Quite honestly, it was affecting my health, my sleep, my rest. So just in the past, I would say maybe 6 months, I have just been like perfect. I mean, better done is better than perfect. Done is better than perfect. That's my new mantra. Done is better than perfect. And it's never going to be perfect. There's always things you would change. You could always go back and redo things, but you just have to move on and make a decision. And that was kind of, in a strange way, the benefit of my tea line is it was like, okay, I'm going to choose 4 teas of, hundreds of teas available. It might not be perfect. It might not be what is exactly perfect for everyone, but that's how I've got to start. And just do it and move on. And there's been a real peace with that. And I've actually hired, I have an intern and I have a VA that I work with now. And I have just been like, okay, let's make a decision and move on. because, you know, in the past, I was that person in the store who would be at Whole Foods or wherever and take, 10 minutes to choose a toothpaste. And I'm like, Polly, it's a toothpaste. Move on. Or like trying to book a trip, and like be so, okay, which hotel am I going to pick? Looking at all the reviews, researching it. And I was like, Polly, just go with your vibe, go with your intuition and do it. And all the teas have been really well received. Everybody's been, I've had reorders, people that have ordered the Blue Butterfly. I've had reorders on things, and the Earl Grey I've had reorders on. So it's really gone well. And, I've learned through this that I just have to make a decision and move on. It's not going to be perfect, but it's better than staying in that limbo, because it's so easy as a creative person or business person to stay in that limbo. And it's comfortable to stay in that limbo.
Well, until you don't make sales.
It's very comfortable to stay in that limbo. So it's like you can either move on or,
But I'm curious, and I don't know if you can answer this, because I've done this embodiment training over the last year. And I've obviously, with mindfulness, always been very curious about how these things resonate in our body. And I've noticed that I find like the ability to make fast decisions, like for me, there's a certain feeling in my body that I now find easier to just be okay with things. It almost is something in my cells, whereas before it was either I would just get lost in my mind, or there was much more tightness. And I feel like the more I can just relax in my body, the easier it becomes. I'm just curious if you've noticed anything like that in you.
It's really interesting. And I've noticed that for me, probably over, I'd say about the past year, maybe year and a half, that I have become that way too. And I can really sense it. And it's like, I just feel like, okay, this feels good. Like this feels good. Like this food feels good. This place feels good. And then other ones I'm like, nope, it just doesn't. And it's a lot more cut and dry now than it was. And I think it's learning to trust your intuition, because in the past, I had things that happened where I didn't trust my intuition. Like my logical mind said, work with that store, the guy knows your family, work with that store. But something in me was saying no. And then a couple of years later, I realized I didn't follow my intuition. And actually, quite honestly, I got mad at myself. Polly, you didn't follow your intuition. Why did you do that? So I'm learning to say, okay, that just feels good. That doesn't feel good. And actually yesterday I was in a situation, and I walked in and just the place felt bad. The energy felt bad. And I was like, I'm out of here. I'm out of here.
Yeah. That's such a relief once you kind of build that capacity to do that, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think too, when we follow our intuition, it feels joyous and it feels very light and it feels easy. And it doesn't mean that there won't be obstacles, that it doesn't mean that, it's going to be totally easy, but it just feels joyful. So if it feels like, oh, this is a lot of work, I don't know if I want to do this, that's kind of your intuition telling you no, that you don't need to do that. There's another path. It might be an easier path. It might be another project, somebody different to work with. But if it feels good, I think that's your intuition saying, yeah, you're on the right path.
That's so beautiful. Because I had thinking, I wanted to ask you, like, how do you make sure you experience joy in your day-to-day or generally running your business? But I guess you just answered that. Unless you have anything else to say about that.
Well, actually, I do. And it was something you posted the other day about taking your time. And time has always been a thing for me because, I always did a lot of different jobs. At one point, I guess it was up until early 2020, I was doing like 3 jobs. I had a travel business. I had a part-time job with a job. And then I had my hat business. So I was doing so much. I was always rushing. And I felt like I'm not enjoying my life. I'm just rushing from A to B. And I'm snappy, I'm not always happy. I'm tired. So I'm eating a lot more sugar, trying to get that energy. And it's really been over the past month or so that I've been like, okay, I'm taking my time. I'm slowing down. I have enough time to get things done. The rushing is actually stressing me out more. So I really realized that, okay, I'm taking time and I'm not going to get everything done in the day. I'm not going to get every post perfect. I'm not going to get every email perfect, but I'm going to enjoy my day. And something I recently added, because I have a website, I have, do all the tech stuff. And I was like, I feel like I am just running a business. I felt like I wouldn't say gotten away from my creativity, but it wasn't part of my everyday. So I decided I am going to work on a creative piece every day at the end of the day for an hour at least. I'm going to try to create something every day. And maybe I don't get it done, but I'm on that path. I'm getting that creative energy. And that's made me a lot happier because I was like, well, that's why I'm doing a creative business is to be creative. And if I'm so bogged down in a website and, tech stuff, I could be doing that anywhere, so that's been a big eye opener for me to do something every day that brings me joy and to take breaks. Taking breaks is huge because I'm somebody that can sit at the laptop and work for 6 hours straight. And then afterwards be like, oh, I'm so tired. But taking breaks and going outside, sitting in the sun, even if it's cold outside, sitting indoors in the sun, or just taking a tea break really makes the day more enjoyable, and it brings a lot more joy to my life.
I couldn't agree more. Yes, absolutely.
No.
And I always find as creative people and sensitive people, we need to do that even more so because we're just not designed to go.
Oh, no. Oh, no. No, yeah, we really aren't, and I think too, it's getting caught up in that very masculine world of that, okay, we've got to create, we've got to, be productive. We must be productive. And, I grew up like that, so I've got to be productive. What did you produce today? And it's like, no. And sometimes, like I have days where I'm just not feeling it at all. So I will just rest all day long. I did that Wednesday. I said, I'm just not feeling it. I feel like I need to rest. And my body's just telling me. And because I rested, then the next day I got so much more done because I wasn't trying to push through, because our bodies, we're just not designed to be machines. And I think sometimes, society puts all this pressure on us to produce and create, and we just have to rest.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I always find like when I try to do that for a while, it works, but eventually my work is suffering. Like it's not going to be of the same standard because it drains you.
Oh, it does. It drains you. It really does. And, it's like your work's not the same standard. And sometimes too, when you're really rested, you can get more done in that hour than you could in a day of being exhausted. Because like you lose things, like, oh, where was I? And, and some of my best ideas have come to me when I'm resting, some of the best things.
And I find that so beautiful because I think you shared somewhere, your mission is to make women feel more beautiful and confident and radiant. Tell me more about that. Like, how does all that tie together?
Well, the making women feel more beautiful and radiant is actually... Well, through hats, and through what they wear, but also the tea, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to combine tea and hats for events, where women can wear, their hats to teas and get together, because I think women really need that time to relax. And when you relax and you're with your friends, you're having tea, you're chatting, you do feel beautiful and you do feel radiant and you feel it's being relaxed. It's being in the moment. And that's one of the things that I really like about my tea group. I've been in a tea group since 2008, is when we get together, you relax and you let go. And generally, we don't talk about the news, our phones are gone, they're in our bags, except for maybe taking a quick picture or two, but it's just disconnecting. And I think that's what makes people feel good and feel radiant and beautiful, and taking time for themselves. And also too, kind of dressing up, because in the day to day, especially, working from home as we all have been for a while, it's just sweaters and sweats and leggings. And it's like, I'm so tired of all of that. And even a couple of days ago, I started kind of just wearing, I have a really good friend and she works from home and she always wears a dress or skirt. She looks so cute. And I said, I'm going to start doing that. And I felt better. I had more energy. So So yeah, but I think it's about connecting to people and, also through online, through social media and building people up, and nurturing them and putting out kindness, through your post or through your email and just really creating that community. It can be online, but it can also be in person as well.
Exactly. Let us know, well, what's coming up for you. You just launched your tea. I don't know if you have any other big adventures planned for the next couple of months.
Yeah, well, I do. Last year, I guess it was last April, I had done a tea event, hat tea, with Holly Hill Inn in Midway, which is about half an hour from where I live. And I was really nervous about doing it because it was the first event I had done in a long time. And the restrictions, were just opening up here. Things were, opening up, restaurants and all that. So we did it and it sold out. It sold out a week before with 75 people. And it was just so much fun. So this year we're doing it in a bigger space. So we'll have 150 tickets available and we're going to have music. I will be serving my teas and we'll have a fashion show and models. So I'm really excited about that. The lady that I work with, Weta Mitchell, is one of the top chefs in America, one of the top female chefs. She's just amazing. And she's so positive and so much fun to work with. So I'm super excited about that. And then as part of my business plan, as we said earlier, I want to combine tea and hats and events. So I have one in Pennsylvania scheduled where I'll be taking my hat and tea show on the road and going to a tea room in Pennsylvania, which is about a 6-hour drive from here, and doing a tea etiquette presentation because, I'm finding people really enjoy that. They enjoy the etiquette aspect. And it's just something very different. So I can add the tea with that, the hats with that. And a lot of people, one of the biggest things for me with, being a designer, I would hear people say, well, I love hats, but I don't have really anywhere to wear them. I really, this isn't something you wear every day. You walk to the store. So I thought, okay, let's combine tea and hats and etiquette. So that's just really gone over well.
Yeah, I love it. And it's such even like from a, business, marketing, whatever perspective, I think it's so brilliant that you kind of really create, like, I don't know, in my industry, people always talk about, oh, you have to give them the whole package and like with everything, not just a single product or something. And that's kind of, I don't know if you did it on purpose, but it just kind of, everything kind of feels come together and creating this whole experience where it's not just the product, but they're getting everything.
Well, it's really funny because it just kind of kept coming to me, maybe through intuition, I more than anything, or as I was out walking, but I was just like, yeah, I want to create a community. And that's what I really liked about the Tea with Polly, my online Zoom class. And I did maybe 4 or 5 of them. And, I stopped doing them when I started doing live events again. But I was like, I just really like that community and people that are into tea and into hats. It's, it's people that I guess I resonate with, we you find your little tribe. So it's kind of a little tribe in a way, but people that are into afternoon tea, it's very similar values. Like they like to relax, they like beauty. A lot of them like history. They like, they like the same things I like, I guess. They like, the magic of it. They like pretty things. Like they love the pretty teacup, they love beauty. So, so it's kind of evolved. And, had you asked me even a year ago, I never would have thought this. I never would have. And I think too, a lot of it is coming out of, for me, the isolation of, the pandemic is, everybody was just isolated for so long. And I really realized, I'm an introvert. I'm very much an introvert, so I can really be on my own. I don't have any problem with that, but I miss that human connection. And I think people did too. And that positive human connection is so important. And people really build each other up, I find, and that's one of the things I've always loved about my group, my tea group that I'm in, is they've always just been there for me and we're there for each other. And, we've had some people that have had losses and illnesses and we just lift each other up. And that's what I really like about the sense of community. And I think it's, it's just so important.
And let me just stay with, because what you
Fine.
just said is just so beautiful. Like what you just said about all the values you shared and the communities you try to create. I think that's what I posted this week on social media, was this whole idea of, for example, Allergens, which I find is such a beautiful thing, because it really allows you to savor every moment. So it has this mindfulness aspect, but it also brings the beauty and the luxury and all these qualities in it that just feel really kind of calming, abundant, and yeah, it just makes you feel beautiful and nourished, isn't it?
Well, it does. And, it's really interesting. I do find it does calm, and it slows you down, and it's nurturing. And I've realized for myself, this whole rushing from A to B, I mean, no wonder people are so stressed out. No wonder they can't sleep, are looking, for sugar and things like that to get them through the day. And I've just really realized, gosh, I just enjoy my life so much more when it's calm. And it's just so much more beautiful. And just even time to look out. Like I have these big birds in my neighborhood. They almost look like eagles, but they're not. And just to see the bird like flying close, slowly across the sky. And it's like, gosh, and when you're calm and you come from that calm place, your work is better, you create better, you feel better, you sleep so much better. And it's like, yeah, it's creating that value in your day, and having value in your day to where you're not just, looking from vacation to vacation, but your day is beautiful and your day is very nurturing.
I don't know about you. I feel like we could maybe just leave that as a takeaway message to like how you can bring more of that slow, intentional living, something and experiencing into life and business.
Into your life.
Let us know if you have, where people can find you, and if you, what's happening in spring.
Well, my website is hatsandveils.net. So it's hats and veils, veils.net, spelled out. And you can also go to polysinger.com, and it is through that as well. And my spring line was based on Savannah. I went to Savannah, Georgia last year. Absolutely loved it. So I have some really fun new things in that. And for people that sign up for my email list on my website, you can go to my website. And if you sign up for the list, you get 15% off of any hat. So, which is a really nice deal. And a lot of the spring ones have been selling. So we've got Easter coming up for April 17th. We've got the Kentucky Derby, Kentucky Oaks, weddings, events. I do hats for galas, for gala lunches, for fundraising lunches. So I'm working on one of those right now. So just a lot going on. And also the teas. I've got the 5 teas now, and I'll probably be doing some new ones in May, June, something like that we're looking at. So I'm anxious to hear what people like. So I'm probably going to be doing some polls, and some fun things. But every month on our Instagram and Facebook and email group, we do a giveaway. So last month we did a really cute spring tea giveaway. We did a Valentine's tea giveaway. We're going to be doing something in April, which I'm excited about. It's a company in New York that does recycled china. Like they'll take plates and cups and make really cool tea things out of them, really cool tea trays. So we're going to be doing that giveaway in April. So I really enjoy doing the giveaways because it gets a lot of fun energy and the social media, and I meet a lot of people. And the latest winner was in Arizona. I never met her, so it was quite cool.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Ooh, you made it till the end. I hope you very much enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. And the podcast is, of course, still very new. So do us a favor and subscribe to it, and maybe leave a review and share it as much as you can so we can establish it as fast as possible, and then come back for the next episode where you will learn about architecture, community building, and well-being.